Hello, everyone. Welcome to December 21st. This is the winter solstice. Ooh, I forgot about my lighting. There we go. Awesome. All right. Welcome to the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, at least by daylight standards, if you are not located on the equator. And yeah, um, pretty exciting times. We're in that last home stretch. We've got 10 days plus whatever's left of today to keep jamming on the business, right? I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. And if you've been working consistently on uh, the things that you need to be working on that we've covered up to this point, then you're in a place where you're able to take advantage of that and capitalize on that. So, uh, always happy to help you do that. In fact, we just had somebody get their first client today, just moments ago, which is awesome. We'll talk about that in a second and update the points and all that kind of stuff. But okay, let me know where you're tuning in from. Say hello. Love to see that always. And excuse me, a little something in my throat there. So yesterday we talked about instant energy, and there was this whole kind of not necessarily mini series, but there was a kind of a flow to what we were talking about to what we're going to shift gears and talk about a little bit today. And it's going to be a little bit different. Actually, while I'm uh, pulling that stuff up, I'm going to actually go into, and you guys are saying hello. I'm going to go into the live feed so I can see in the group the, whatchamacallit, the comments. That's what I was looking for. I want to be able to say hello to you guys and see that. Plus, I got a tickle in my throat, which is really weird. Hate when that happens. Come on, there we go. Okay, so let me hit what we play on that. Expand. Have to mute it again, and it's going to be a little bit different. Actually, while I'm there, we go. All right, so now I should be able to see comments. Miro's on with us. John, Mohammed, very cool. Mohammed says after December Dash, will there be the usual fortnightly sessions every month? It's twice every month. That's correct. On the 14th and 28th, we're doing that this month even. Right? I mean, the 28th is coming up next Monday. You will have a session for that. We have not suspended those sessions. And so, yes, those will continue on as per usual. It's a good question. We'll be adding some sessions, I'm sure, along the way, more dedicated sessions. It's something we plan on doing, but it's not something that has been hammered out yet, right? Uh, we understand the need for support and support at most levels that or support at levels that most people are and most companies are not willing to give or understand the levels that they need to give in order to see your guys' success, right? So good questions, at least to start us off. That's always good. And okay, so today we're going to talk again. We're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about uh, when to hire your staff and why. And the reason I say that is because, man, I cannot tell you how many times uh, I get this question: When am I gonna? When do I know it's time to hire? And it gets old. Not bitching or moaning. I'm just telling you straight out. Like it's very predictable. It's not even just very predictable. More than that, it's old hat. It's generic. It's almost as if why would you ask that? It's very as a business owner, it's not very savvy to ask that question. Now, that said, that means that it tells me exactly where you're at, learning curve, and this is most people that reach that point in this business model. Um, they just want some guidance or some validation on hiring. And most of the time that people ask me when it's time to hire somebody, if they don't know my answer yet, they are thinking about hiring somebody. Otherwise, they would not be asking that, right? And given on what I teach on how to hire and how to train and all that, we don't talk a ton, at least yet, about some of the updated trainings coming on this. But we haven't talked a ton up to this point about the formula, if it were, as it were. There's not really a formula, by the way, um, because there's so many variables. And I say that like it's it'd be hard for AI to figure it out. And I'm not saying it couldn't. I'm just saying, man, it would be that kind of a level of because there are so many variables. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. How many clients have you pulled in? You think that's the answer. That's one variable to the answer. There's also how fast did you pull them in and what kind of a window? How many of the systems and processes do you have laid out, and not just laid out in a company training, but dialed in enough for you to be able to teach, hire, and train uh, any position, if not multiple positions. Um, what's the revenues like? I mean, if you're so new and you pulled in 50 clients in 3 days and you don't have any systems and processes, you might think you're ready to hire two or three people, and you're not, because you don't have the systems and processes in place for them to run, and it's not predictable growth. So it's not based on client number. Get that shit out of your head. I'm telling you straight out right now. And usually when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh," and they get a little like downtrodden, like that, like I just told them they'll never be free or something, which is absolutely batshit crazy. Okay, I did not say that. I've always been a proponent of buying back your time, becoming free. But let's do it in a way that keeps you free. I mean, Jesus, guys, like we're not working at this thing and building these agencies to enslave us, are we? Or make us really unhappy, more unhappy than we were when we started, are we? I mean, if that's your goal, by all means, go ahead and start hiring whenever you hit a comfortable number of clients. It's not how we do things, we do things that way. We don't do things that way because of the results that will produce if you base that decision. I've had people go, by the way, I've had people I've taught go to 50, 60 clients and not be ready to hire the first position. Seriously. Seriously, and I wasn't being a stickler. I was just straight out like, you can't even tell me what your job is like in those positions, let alone teach somebody else. And you're willing to pay somebody to do that and not have them governed properly and produce predictable results. Really, like that's where you're at. No good. You got to work on that. Um, and I'm telling you right now, I've seen people that have gone and got 10, 15 clients, stopped working on client acquisition at least for a minute or two. And I say a minute, I mean a few days or whatever, maybe even a couple of weeks, just to jam out the systems and processes and do it well so that they could pick up the ball. But most people don't end up picking the ball back up. It's just weird how that works. Once you start acquisition, you should keep doing it and do a piece at a time for the systems and processes as you're doing the acquisition, because that makes things more fluid, easier. You get better with it by far, better results with it, and more consistent, that you can hire and train on what you're doing and what you've been doing. So it's not based on number of clients. It's there's a window of how you may have pulled 20 clients, but did you pull them in over 6 months or did you pull them in over a couple of weeks? And do you have the systems and process and training in place, or what? Right? There's also the fact of scheduling. So you may not have bought back enough of your time yet. So, example, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you know that your business as a one-man band or your agency as a one-man band with 20 or 30 clients uh, over the next 3 months will produce debt-free a debt-free scenario for you and a little bit of savings, and um, put you in a position to have all your time back because you can quit your job, right? So in other words, job quitting, debt-free status, which is rare in this day and age, believe it or not, or more rare than most people think, um, especially starting out that way. And if that's 3 months away, then I would say you're probably not ready to hire until you've quit the job and you have excess time to spend with your first couple of people in positions, right? To do that. That doesn't mean you have to quit your job before you start hiring people. I'm just saying there's so many different scenarios and so many different, maybe there's only people that are working part-time right now, so they do have more hours, maybe not full hours, but they definitely have several hours a day versus 1 to 2 a day. Then yeah, they could probably go ahead and start hiring and training somebody because they're going to be around more, right? Because they're not going to be as tired when they are around as someone who's working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, right? Or 8 even, but really, really hard 8, right? There's people that work a really, really hard 8, and then there's people that work 10, 12, 14 hours, and even some of that's hard work, right? Hard labor, um, anything from that to just using your noggin a lot. My point is, there's so many different variables, so many, and those are just a few of the main ones that have major impact on hiring decisions, when to hire staff. But here's the thing. The other thing I need you to understand is this. A lot of you, I don't want to say aren't ready because it makes it sound like I'm beating you up. I'm really not. I see this so often that and it's such a problem that when people start to get clients in, right, client acquisition, one of the first things I have to talk about is this, because if I don't, people get their own ideas and start trying to hire and train people when it's not time yet, right? Not because I say so, but because really your business says so. You know, your revenue slash profits don't support it. Your systems and processes don't support it. The the level of success that you have personally experienced and feel, wake up with, in other words, on a daily basis, don't support it. So what I mean by that is, uh, if you wake up and you're feeling really shitty because you're still in debt and you're still working the 9 to 5, but you have clients in an agency, so now it's not as shitty as it was maybe a couple months ago. Okay, cool. You know, you're headed in the right direction. Now, if you were to go and hire and train somebody right now, like attracts like, folks. Sorry, that's how it is. Sorry, not sorry. I'm telling you the truth. I'm being transparent with you 100%. Like attracts like. So who are you going to be ending up hiring and training at that point? Right? Who are you going to end up hiring and training at that point? Someone that is in the same state of mind you are, more or less, or that produces the same amount of results you can produce and doesn't challenge themselves, push themselves enough because they just you haven't ever been to the point where you've been let off the leash, so to speak, for 8 hours a day in your agency, right? At that point, if you're still working the job, still debt ridden, all that kind of stuff, right? There's uh, there's a lot to be said about uh, not just the freedom that comes with being debt free and waking up knowing you've got a business that makes you a ton of money, helps all the right people, everybody wins, and is only getting bigger every day that you wake up. That's a pretty good feeling, yes. But in addition to that, the mindset that that person now carries every day, every moment of every day that they're awake, it's going to be what we would call um, that success attracts successful people, like attracts like. And so I'm not saying you have to be the perfect human being in order to hire and train the perfect human being. We don't want perfect. We want really fucking good. And if you're in a not so fucking good place, you're not going to hire really fucking good people, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because so many people miss this, and I'm not sure why. Because you can build an agency that will get you in a full-time scenario, well, not full time, excuse me, a job quitting, debt free scenario very quickly within a matter of a few months and some savings built up. And with some of your time back, even, or half of your time back, or more than 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Listen, guys, I've seen people hire uh, staff with working 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, but they also worked half a Saturday and a couple hours on Sunday, and they made up whatever they needed to. And if they felt like in the middle of a week putting in 3 hours or 4 hours instead of 1 to 2, then they did that, and they did whatever their business required of them, and they were able to build. Hire and train, build systems and processes out exactly how I teach with a full-time job still. It's possible, right? But there's possible and highly likely, right? And so many people fall into the highly likely category as opposed to what's possible. And so I'm just kind of giving you a heads up, like those of you who pull in dozens and dozens of clients over the next couple of months, you may or may not be in that position of being able to hire and train. And if you are, great. If you don't know, you can always come on and ask, right? You can always come on live and ask. It's why I do live calls ongoing like that, because a lot of people want to give me like a snapshot of where you're at, what you're dealing with. And sometimes it takes a little bit of digging because you've been away for a while. And but once we get to the bottom of it, then we know exactly what to tell you to do in terms of hiring and training in this case, in this for this topic. So understand it gets better as well on not just the hiring and training of staff, but also the client selection. So in your prospecting and as you, if you're trying to hire your closer and you don't know what your best client looks like yet, right? Clearly, someone who's re-upped to the tune of thousands of dollars, loves your calls, has given you a testimonial, right? You're going to have a few really, really good clients if you have a couple dozen, right? And not that all of them aren't going to be good clients. I'm just saying you're going to have a few that are just absolute, man, if I could get one of those every day, just one every day like that, you know what I mean? At the end of the year, you'd be a very, very happy man, right? That kind of a client. And with a few of those under your belt, then you can hire and train someone on the closing staff or position two, hell, even position one should know some of this stuff to pull in the right kind of client, the dream client. Think about that for a second. So, um, again, people try to hire way too early if things aren't dialed in, right? So you may think you have systems and processes, but do you have systems and processes that not just produce predictable results, but produce predictable and profitable results, right? Because you don't want a set of systems that your staff is running that you're paying for that produces clients that eventually quit after 3 months or try to shiest you out of money. In other words, cheat you out of money or try to pull one over on you or devalue your phone calls. Um, Not, maybe clients that don't understand your value, clients that don't answer the phone. There's so many scenarios there, right? You don't want that. I don't think, because that would put your business under very, very quick. Um, so hopefully this makes sense. I'm not beating you up at all. I'm just here to show you at this stage for a lot of you when you're stepping into the I'm getting clients mode. It's like, okay, well, what's next? And it's like, well, the next big thing I see, the next milestone for them, for most people, is either a milestone for driving their first qualified call to a salesperson, unless they feel they're so confident that they've already done it with a client that they know they're going to be able to do it with a client, an actual client. So some people get stuck on that, and I say stuck. Some people need to see that milestone, like in their, as they're passing. Some people don't care to look at it, which to each their own on that one. You're going to pass it regardless, because you have to drive qualified phone calls to clients anyway. So the first one's going to happen. The next major milestone, though, at that point is going to be, well, shit, I need to hire and train somebody and start building my staff up, right? Uh, yes, except that's not the next major milestone. The next major milestone is making sure this next several milestones is going to be down in the systems and processes, making sure you're identify your dream client, what they look like, what they sound like, build training around that for your closer and for your opener. Make sure all the other systems and processes and training is in place for your opener and for your closer. And then at that point, make sure you have enough time dedicated and set aside that the agency is at a size where revenues coming in can support you, um, and not just support you, but has taken care of some things. Now, here's the really crazy thing. Some of you may have a lot of debt, right? Some of you may have a lot of debt, and it's like, well, I can't really afford not to grow as um, a a full-time employee somewhere, right? I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you know, everybody's different. Some people come screaming out of the gate. Some people take 2 years and then come screaming out of the gate. Some people just mosey along the entire time, like just casually stroll the entire time. Some people spectate. Some people talk a lot and say they're going to do this and say they're going to do that. So there's so many different scenarios and so many different types of people, not personality wise necessarily, but of actions, right? Of what people do when they're confronted with this kind of an opportunity, right? This kind of a business model, because it's very much action oriented. Get done what you need to get done. Here's the point. Um, I've seen people that were in deep debt come screaming out of it. And the biggest thing I can tell you there is their level of commitment. So if you think that hiring and training is all about client numbers, again, think on things that I've mentioned, such as your own commitment, the level of systems and processes. Now, typically people look at all these things and they say, well, I've got the systems and you know, but are you pulling in the right people? Well, I've got the clients, so I know the revenue's coming, but you actually don't have the revenue in yet. right? You haven't made that happen yet. It's something you need to focus on. Um, well, I'm pulling in, the last 30 days I'm pulling in a client average. I just don't want to be on the phone again. Wrong reason to hire somebody to be on the phone, by the way. Um, Not saying you have to be on the phone forever. I'm just saying don't use that as the reason to not be on the phone. Um, what else? So many things people have come to me with on justification for why they're hiring somebody anyway, that kind of thing. I'll tell you straight out, guys, you could have all the money in the world and not bootstrap this agency model, and there's still going to be not bottlenecks, but with that kind of money, there are going to be some things, some challenges that slow you down in terms of growth. Money won't be the one. Obviously, you'll be able to hire and train the best and pay for the best, no problem, easily if you come into this with a buttload of money. It's a predictable business. It grows, but at the same time, it does have to grow. You can't force growth, but so much on certain things, right? There are limitations, and I don't mean like what's possible in the universe kind of limitations. I'm talking about just growth of the business in general. Um, and the good news is it's streamlined so that those bottlenecks, even with that kind of massive amount of money, is really they're very small, they're very temporary, and they open up and really open up. So, but there's still a learning curve for that. There's still processes for that have to take place unless you just want to bleed money everywhere, right? You may have a ton of money and you may pump a ton of money into this, but unless you want to just bleed money everywhere, I mean, I guess you could do that, but I wouldn't recommend it, right? And I'm not saying you have to run it in total bootstrap level mode either, bootstrap mode. Um, but you can, right? You can do that and expand out from there. Just understand when you do that, you will run into the same learning curves, just a little bit slower, maybe than somebody who has tons of money coming into this, or an unlimited budget, or maybe a budget that's significantly higher than everybody else, and can afford things like ClickFunnels without saying, "Oh man, I don't want to pay 97 a month." Right? Totally wrong mindset, by the way. But if that's where you're at, we gotta work to get you to the point where that's not a problem, right? Because of all the clients you're pulling in and the revenue from those clients. So again, it's not just about hiring staff and when you think you're ready. It's when you're actually ready. It's also about being able to identify your dream clients and being able to pull more of those in. When you've got things dialed into that level, that could be at 15 clients in, but for the overwhelming majority, for most of you, that's going to be, again, there's no number of clients, but that's going to not be 15 clients. That's going to be on in, couple dozen up, before you really get the hang of that. And it actually should be at a point where, you should be approaching anywhere from 50 to 100 clients in that range as you hire and train your your staff fully, except for the agency manager position. That comes with time, more time. But every other position, so position one, position two, campaign manager, customer support and onboarder, right? And splitting those even 50 to 100 clients. I mean, in that range. I'm not saying you don't hire somebody till 50 clients. I'm just saying in that range, you should have most of those, if not all those positions filled. And then you're looking forward to the next vertical as well and looking at an agency manager. You get you an agency manager, get him or her dialed in, and then you work on expanding into the next vertical, right? And the training that goes with that as well. So you can duplicate the duplication process, right? Um, from there, I mean, things get interesting, but like super interesting. But back to sub 50, right? Everybody at that level for their first hire, second hire is going to be different. I've seen people hire their first person, six clients in because they just know the business well. It looks like they were born for it, even though they weren't, because it's skill set based. I've seen people have to wait till 20 clients before they hire their first person. I've seen people wait till they hired 20 clients, then they hired position one and position two because they had worked so hard to dial in, like I said, systems and processes, and it was enough on position one and position two both, and they hired and trained them both and spent their time very efficiently that way. But they had 20 clients. Those 20 clients were pulling in dough, in other words, revenue, they were re-upping. They saw that there was going to be some kind of a consistent cash flow into the business, into the agency. They saw that not only were they delivering for their clients, but they were doing very well. The clients were pleased, meaning their retention rate is going to be high. So in other words, I know I'm going to be in business, and I'm going to be in business for a while if I keep things moving. Let me focus on hiring the first two positions because that's what I've got trained up on, pulling in my ideal clients, and they do it well enough in order to. That's my point, right? Everybody hits it different at different points. Some people, I'll tell you right now, if you don't put any focus on it, you can go 100 clients and not ever hit that point, right? It's not about how many clients you hit. Again, it's about what you've done in the agency overall to help support the growth of the agency and the maintenance of the agency. So the retention of the clients and all that as well. Anyway, I know I spent 20, 30 minutes on that, 30 minutes or so. I'm going to grab a link because we only have an hour today. I've got to jump over to the mentorship at 12 noon, and I can't be late for that. So I was late last week, and that really screwed up the whole. I don't know why I did that, but really screwed up the whole uh, stream thing. I had to go back and redo some shit, so that sucked. Here is the Zoom link in case you want to come in live, ask your questions. Otherwise, you can ask in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer those. Again, very common challenge. I see people that come out of the gate screaming. I see people stroll out of the gate, all the everything in between, right? Um, and they all have the same kind of question around this: when do I hire somebody? When am I ready to hire somebody? Because it's almost like, hey, I feel like I've paid my dues. Now I'm ready to just sit back on my fat ass in a on a couch and collect the checks. Nope, not yet. Right? Like not even fucking close. Uh, and I say not even close, as in if you keep working, 3 to 4 months is actually very close. But you're not near as close as you think you are to hiring and training in most cases. And if you need help on what that looks like beyond what I just gave you, which is a lot of intimate details, more than most people will give you. Even people that teach this stuff won't tell you the stuff that I'm most of the time telling you about this, um, because they feel like it's too. How do I say this? Like it's too not rough or coarse, but like or crass. Just they know people don't want to hear it, and it's kind of like, well, I don't want people living. I don't want people around me that are living in a fucking fairy tale world. You know, there's other places for you to go and live in make believe town. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Not here, right? I'm going to shoot you straight, and I'm not only going to shoot you straight, I'm going to show you the things that most people they'll teach you how to build an agency, uh, for better or worse, and are you pulling in the types of clients you want at the end? I just saw an email from somebody today talking about if you start up with us in this industry in pay per call, if you start up with us and you work, you put the work in, which is I'm sitting there nodding my head, going, okay, put the work in on point. In 4 to 6 weeks, you could have your first client, and I was like, I've seen people do that in like a couple days, man. Not everybody, but I'd say the overwhelming majority of people that actually put in the work will pull in clients start to finish, never having done any of this stuff within 2 weeks. I mean, 1 to 2 hours a day, by the way. And that was the thing is like I saw that and it was like he said 1 to 2 hours a day as well, which I thought was cool because this is somebody I haven't worked with or ever spoken to actually. But I follow pretty closely because I want to keep tabs on everybody in the industry, see what's going on, and know what's being taught out there. Not to dog anybody else, but I sit there and I look at that and I go 4 to 6 weeks. Jesus, like what kind of expectations are you setting? Because if you say, hey, it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to hit something, then most people are hitting stuff, their first client in this case, in 4 to 6 weeks and not in 2 weeks or less. And again, I've seen a lot of people, not most, but I've seen a fair number of people. I'd say 20, 30% of people that start out and are committed are going to go get a client within their first week, right? If they struggle a bit on this or that, whether it's an ad site, whether it's I need to go get Flyent first and run an ad campaign to them, yeah, it's going to take a little longer, right? Maybe set up a campaign, get it running over the weekend, pull in some clients, and then Monday, Tuesday prep. Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that second week, they're pulling in clients, right? Now, if they don't stay engaged to what to us and what I'm teaching, like for example, they get on the phone, but they don't understand the urgency reassurance well enough, so, but they also don't reconnect, then guess what? They lose the deal. See, Robert, excuse me, um, pulled in a client today, and he said half the stuff he said was the wrong thing, right? It's not because Robert's better than everybody. It's not because Robert was born in a certain town, in a certain place, in a certain time. None of that, right? It's skill set. And what did we work on a lot yesterday? That's right, the exact fucking skill set that he would need to go and do exactly what he just did. So congrats to him for not only sticking it through that session, because it was a beast of a session, I admit. Could have been way more, by the way. But he also went back and did. There's no doubt in my mind that he went back and at least studied again what we had been talking about, and um, that's not to be taken lightly. That's why I guarantee you that's why he was able to produce the result, and he's going to continue to produce the results, and that's also why he's super pumped. You notice he had that instant energy. I did because in his post he said something about, well, I'm gonna, the dialer's running a little bit slow, probably because it's Monday, right? Um, I'm gonna keep down until 6. Now he didn't say it exactly with exclamation point, smiley face, or wow face or anything like that. But some people just don't use emojis. Um, I saw that and I went, "Yep, he's got somebody lit a fire under his ass. He's kicking it, And that's the kind of thing we were talking about a couple days ago with the instant energy. So now you get to see what that looks like real world. You've seen it with Art. Now you've seen it with Robert. It's not like a fluke. It's a common occurrence. It happens all the time. So nobody's coming into the Zoom, really? Okay. I mean, I'm here for you guys. I got 25 minutes. I got to cut loose 2 minutes early, but oh man. Questions. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello. Mohammed says, compared to this month, will it be really difficult to acquire clients in January? No. Actually, it's the best way I can do this. Let me see if I can pull up let me see if I can do this real quick. Pull up like a slide and just kind of graph it out for you and give you understanding of the expectations. It's not that December is the only month to pull in clients or that it's the absolute best month and all the other months are shit or lower. It's just comparatively speaking. So it's just offered to give you perspective. December is by far out of all the months the best time, right? But it doesn't mean everything else is significantly worse, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can add a slide here to a presentation. See if I can put some kind of a fucking graph. Can I do a graph? Let me see. Insert chart. Boom. That's pretty good. Okay, so let me see. I can do column. Oh fuck yeah, that's gonna work great. I might have to edit that, obviously. But and I'm on the December dash, but I can always copy paste this somewhere else. I've been meaning to make this anyway. I was thinking about it the other day because I've had this question come up a couple times. Now where do I want to see the actual, how do I edit this shit? That's funny. Uh, edit. Nope. Why is it not? Oh, hold on. Hold on. Open source? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at me figuring shit out just by clicking. Oh, what the fuck happened? Hold on. There we go. Where's the data? That's what I want to see. That's chart editor, chart style. Okay. Points scored. Here we go. So title text is going to be Um, best time of year for client acquisition. Okay. Why did the Y not do that? There we go. Okay. This is cool because you guys get to see how I work through shit and figure shit out. Because I've never done a chart, believe it or not, on a Google slide. So this is interesting. And obviously it's using sheets and pulling from sheets, but I've never done that, is my point. We'll get to style in a minute, but I did see that. Left axis, format data point. We'll get to that in a second. Legend. No, horizontal axis. There we go. Vertical. From source data. Where's the source data at? Number format, grid lines and ticks. Definitely want. I want setup. Maybe I was in the wrong place. Use row 1 as headers. Use column A as labels. I don't know. It's taking me over to customize. Horizontal axis. Nope. What is it doing? Why is it doing that? Well, time to go to YouTube. This is what I do, folks, all the fucking time. Google, Google Slides, chart and sheets. That's what I'm typing into my Google or my YouTube search bar here. Google Slides tips, adding charts from sheets. 3 years ago, 269 views, first result. Let me mute the video, speed it up, 1.5 on playback speed, and that's how I roll because I don't care what this dude is saying, although I'm sure it's useful. It's not exactly what I need. I'm going to watch him go through the steps real quick. I can't show that just yet. I'm looking at what he's doing. Insert chart. Oh, import chart. Link to spreadsheet. Oh, is that what the deal is? Link to spreadsheet. Update. Okay, so now I get that it's pulling from the sheet, which kind of makes sense, but I'm not seeing how to change the data yet. I can also unlink it from the sheet if I want. I need to be able to see. He's not showing where the data actually comes from, so I'm going to have to figure that one out on my own. OBKB. What I need is a vertical axis, and I need to change that minimum value to, no, that's fine. We'll do that as percentage. And then what I want is a source data. Really don't know. I'm going to have to go and find this on my own probably, where I can actually hear the audio and some videos, but it's going to take some digging around. The idea is this. I'll be able to put together a chart. Why is that not? There we go. Let's see if that series, legend. That's the look, the customization, the look. I want data. I want to change the data. Like that was title text. That's not. There we go. God almighty. For period 2, series. Okay, so series, it's period 2. Where's period 1? I guess maybe I have to click on it to do that. Can I add a period? Series, add. Select data point. My goodness. Yeah. I'm gonna have to spend some time on my own, figure this out. But here's the deal. I want to show just month to month on a graph chart what the best, based on percentages over here, what the best months are. But basically, December is the highest. Before that, so like here, let me come back to my screen so you can see this. And again, I'll put together this sheet, so don't worry about it. I just have to be able to go figure that out. It's going to take me a little bit. Not that big of a deal, but important. So it's on my to-do list. It has been. Um, and again, I thought I would be able to pull this out. Sometimes I'm able to pull this stuff out pretty quickly. Just not going to happen in time for the call, and I don't want to waste everybody's time with that. But I did want you to kind of see the process of how I just click on shit to figure it out. Don't get too frustrated before I go to Google or YouTube and find out how to do this shit. Obviously, I can't listen to the audio because of copyright issues for this stream, but that's the premise. That's how I learn shit so quickly on a lot of this stuff, and I'm able to apply it through actual field experience. Okay, um, December is, let's call that our peak, right? But it's not just a peak and then nothing. It's going to be more like this, right? It's more like a wave, or like what do you call that? An oscillation, right? And the peak of the oscillation is going to definitely be December, and on either side of that, you've got November and January. So January is almost as good, right? It's about like what November is, which is still very good. Um, and then on each end, you're going to have October, right? That leads into November, December, and then you're also going to have February, still pretty good months. Then you're going to have down in the peak again, but it's actually not like super down. It's going to be more like this, and then when you get to like June, July, that's when things kind of dip. So the reason that happens in most years, this last year actually wasn't that bad because everybody was at home. But most people tend to travel during the summer vacation. Kids are out of school, blah blah blah. So June, the end of June, all of July, and most of August tend to be the worst months. So like July would be what December is, just opposite. So think like that, and not way down, but it would be the lowest point of the oscillation. So it's not like you can't get clients. That doesn't mean you can't get clients in June, July, and August. It just means the time of year it is not the best for that kind of activity. If you're working at this year round, which you should be, right? I'm not saying don't go after any clients or any client acquisition. I'm saying that's not the best time to do it. In fact, if anything, it would be a time for you to focus on the existing client base that you have, uh, work on serving them to your best, building the systems and processes to scale into another vertical, because you're about to step into September, October, November, December, going up to the peak of December, and then, of course, back down again, but not way down, because you've got January, February, March, April, May, which are all really, really good months because of spring and springtime. Everybody's got spring fever kicking out, and then into early summer, right? Um, and so that's what it would look like. Again, there's not much of a visual aid there. That's why I wanted to work on the chart, but I'm going to do that on my own time, just to spare you guys the bullshit. But I did want you to see. I thought I'd be able to figure it out, and a lot of times I actually am able to figure stuff like this out very easily. Um, when I'm able to listen to audio and things like that. But usually live as well, even in a pinch, I'll be able to pull some stuff out like that. I'm pretty close. I know there's something I'm missing on wherever the data is going to be to actually edit that. But once I find where that is, game over, right? I'll own this. This will be my bitch, right? In a good way, right? Um, and then I'll get that out to you guys. Uh, Muhammad says, "Congratulations, Robert. What a heck of a return you got from the live call yesterday." Yeah, man. He's probably not even on live right now, to be honest. He's probably going back and pulling more clients, like he said. And I think he's got that, like I said, that instant energy kick, and he's going to use it. So good on him. He learned quite a few things yesterday and the day before. So Muhammad's also asking, says, "Thanks for the graphic description of the annual cycle." And again, I'll make sure that it's crystal clear. I'll put it in a chart for you. And again, it's not to say that July is a bad month. It's just not as good as the others. So if we have to give each month a rating based on when the best months are, when the not so good months are. July would be at the bottom of that, December would be at the top, and everything in between is kind of like a there's really a big hump. It's actually a very, let me see if I can draw it out. So like December, see if I can draw this out real quick. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So something like this, and I know this is going to be like, Jesus, that is horrible, but in terms of how I drew it, but it's pretty close. Notice how big the hump is. It's not like a, it's not like a typical, like when you think oscillation, you think this, right? Well, let me make that suitable for kids. So when you think oscillation, you typically think this, right? The one on the bottom here, up and down, even waves, right? Well, that's not how it is on the client acquisition, right? It's actually, put an X through that. It's actually more like the top one where the it's more of a real just a hump, a solid hump or berm or hill, whatever you want to call that. And you can see there December in my shitty handwriting is kind of at the top there. January, February, March, April. Notice how it doesn't like trail off and like this would almost immediately, right? It just trails, 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 trails. May's a little bit better than that actually. And then you're into June, July, August, which will be your low point of the hump. Keep in mind, doesn't mean you can't get clients. It just means your opportunities are going to be less. And also with everybody on vacation and stuff, they're in a different mode. And then things in September, October, November, December back up the hump. And those are, if you notice, they're all very close to the top of that hump. It's not really it's not really an even oscillation, if that makes sense. And that's why I wanted to show that on the graph because it does make a difference. It doesn't mean you should just stop client acquisition in June, July, August. It means maybe there should be more focus on some of the other things in the business to help build for the best months of the year because there's so many of them. There's like 9, 10 months out of the year that are really great at pulling in clients. Even June's not that bad. July's the worst historically. Um, and that would, I mean, if I was I'll tell you right now, if I was you, if I was in your boat, taking July to restructure, reorganize, hire, train, provide better service to the clients, provide alternate services to the client. In other words, additional services to the client to increase revenues, gear up for a second, third, fourth vertical for the last half of the year. Those would be the time. That would be the time that I would be focused and working on those things more than anything. And yes, you may not see as much revenue increase in July, but let me tell you, when you get those kind of things in place, uh, as you work them, start working them in August and dialing them in, now you've got a full run on September, October, November, December, that last several months of the year there to to uh, to really push everything that you've just developed and built and fine tune uh, to produce the results that you're looking for. Isn't that cool? I always thought that was cool. So, um, I think we're good. Any other questions? Any comments? Nobody's coming into the Zoom. Everybody's staying away from me today. That's okay. I'm gonna show up every day and bug the shit out of you. Sorry, checking my phone. I know I've got a delivery coming at some point. But yeah, I'm here for questions. Usually don't do this, but it's a rather important delivery. Okay, cool. Um, no other questions? Everybody's good? Everybody's good? I guess so. All right, let's bounce out of here then. I've got a few minutes. I can go collect myself for the mentorship. Looking good there. Keep working hard. Focus on what you're doing. Don't worry about the fact that it's not time yet to hire and train your staff. And if you have questions on that, obviously I'm here. That's one of the things that I'm here for, one of the many things, excuse me, that I'm here to help you with and help you figure out. Again, there are a lot of variables to that, so every answer I give is going to be not different or inconsistent, but consistent based on the information that's being returned. So if everybody did the exact same thing, then it would be an extremely cookie cutter answer, right? Because it could be that, but because it's not. Um, Hopefully that makes sense as to why it's not, and also why that should be one of probably the last things you're focusing on right now instead of building the agency, right? Mohammed's asking a question here. I'll make sure that this is answered, and then we'll bounce out of here because I don't see anybody coming in asking tons of questions either, and I've got the mentorship call in a few minutes, so I want to bounce over there. Mohammed asks, in terms of client retention, regardless of which vertical we're in, if we're providing stellar service, which as I understand should be quite simple, we'll have no reason to lose them, right? No, that's not true. You can lose clients because you're not communicating enough with them. They don't feel loved. They don't understand the value of your calls because you're not in their face talking about it, not necessarily every day, but at least once a week. Like you need to maintain and build and maintain a relationship with each of your clients. It's one of the things that you hire out for and train on staff, right? You've got to do that. You can lose clients that way. The other way you lose clients is the kind of clients you want to lose, right? So having a less than 100% retention rate is nothing wrong with that, especially if you get better at dialing in as you get better at dialing in the type of clients you want to get. You're going to have a higher retention rate because they're going to stick around longer. But at first, your retention rates may be a little bit lower than 80, 90%. They may be 60, 70% because you're still trying to figure out who the best clients are, who the dream clients are, and how to get more of those so that your retention rate can continue to increase. But you're going to need things like the client engagement sequence. We're updating that for you, so you'll have that at some point. You're going to need to reach out to your clients once a week and have good conversations. Don't reach out and ask them about the fucking weather or what's going on in the election. Actually have conversations about the campaign, about the calls that are coming in, about the jobs that made them money, any kind of stories they want to share, anything that they know of coming up. There's a lot of stuff that you can have very good conversations with all of your clients very easily, 5-10 minutes a piece, and once a week. It's not like hell, one person, a one-man band could do that with dozens of clients before he would ever have to hire somebody. Obviously, you'd want to at some point, but my point is, you can handle that. There's not a person on the face of this earth that can't do it. It's about who chooses to do it and who doesn't choose to do it, right? Miro's asking, what vertical would you suggest to start now with? I make a ton of different suggestions. I would, if I were you, I'd go and watch day one of the COVID Client Challenge. I make a lot of good recommendations based on the COVID environment and everything. And I spend about an hour and a half doing just that, going through each vertical, explaining the pros and cons based on, again, today's environment, today's climate, economic climate, whatever you want to call it, financial climate, and what it's going to mean, right, moving forward. It's not much different now, except for at that point we were on lockdown, so it really showed the differences. It was a very stark contrast of what's still open, what's not, what works well, what's going to work well, all that kind of stuff, and that still very much rings true today. So I would, if I were you, I'd go and study that, Miro, in COVID Client Challenge day number one. Okay, it's inside of the Ring Ad software. You can find it under training videos, and also here in the Facebook group. But yeah, points. And don't worry about attendance. I've got everybody covered for attendance. We were looking at, oh shit, where's attendance? There it is. I've got Scott. We lost a couple people yesterday. I've got Steve Taylor. Tim Blank is I'm just marking you guys present for today. John Smith. So again, Scott Moody, Steve Taylor, Tim Blank, John Smith, Mohammed Zakir Hussein, Adrian Bryan, Garrett Amon, and Rob is being marked present, even though I don't think he's here. But like I said, there's going to be days where I just mark people for time constraints or whatever. That's why I reserved the right to do that, because it was smart. It was a smart thing. I don't have a ton of those moments, but when I have them, by God. And we have how many people in the running here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of you still in the running. That's pretty good. If I can count right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 8 of you. Awesome. You guys are sticking in. I love it. Love seeing that. All right, go do your thing. Work hard, pull in the clients, and come back often so I can help you set stuff up and keep moving. All right, I'm going to bounce over to the mentorship call now. I've got a few minutes to do that. And oh, Clem, yeah, Clem, you're here. That's great. I'm happy to see that. I'm talking about attendance for people that made it from day one all the way in. Like, we're 21 days in on the Show Up Grow Up Award, right? I'm not necessarily taking class like a truant officer or a teacher. I'm taking attendance for the Show Up Grow Up Award, but I am glad that you are here. I'm grateful for that. Excuse me, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Work hard. Go get the clients. Come back often so we can work on those things, work on the campaigns, optimize stuff, talk about the growth of the business, the projected growth, and when it might be time for you to hire your first person and train them, of course. But anyway, love you guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And keep in mind, this is a big week, right? Work hard, get to prospecting, because this is a big, big week for you. And I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. All right, bye for now.
Cool. You fall. Back on my shit with a new advantage. I leave it up to you to settle the damage. Diamond, yeah, I know it's foreign to him. I came from the guts of rural Alabama. Steph Curry wrist, watch what they handle. Simple motors, gotta lead by example. Not too many make it out when they doubt. Never been about bailing off of my route. Rain gang, got the city HD. Hate to see my brother die every week. Numb to your vision. My life got me too fucked up. Disrespect to make a nigga go dumb. Pillow talking while you nursing that bitch and turn you to a scrub. Outlet prices from the plug. Bay Shore, Ocean View, win Adidas with the boots. Niggas out here slinging arbitrage, so the money really no excuse. Welcome to the realm.